What does a Las Vegas magician do when all the resorts in town have shut down? We're speaking with Murray Sawchuck, acclaimed illusionist on the Las Vegas Strip, to find out. I'm David Grana, and this is Real Talk. Murray Sawchuck, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on, David. Always great to talk to you. You know that.
Yeah, it's been far too long. I think the last interview I did with you was about 3-4 years ago. Um, Great article. I appreciate your collaboration, and now we're in a completely different world than
Correct.
we were. So I have to ask you, you're a performer on the Las Vegas Strip. You're a magician. I know you've been on Pawn Stars. You've been on multiple reality TV shows, etc. And now this has got to be just something far different than anything you've ever experienced.
It
As
is. I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, it's one of those things where if we weren't living through it, and I read this in like a Dean Koontz book, I'd believe it because it's Dean Koontz and he writes like that. But we're actually living it in real time. You know, so it's pretty phenomenal what's going on. And you know, like I've always said to a lot of people, I said it's the key now is to stay relevant. You know, and kind of go with the flow. You know, kind of like being a shellfish in the tide. You go out with the tide, you come with the tide, and hopefully you still land on the beach. You know.
No, for sure. I do. Before I do get into our first question, I just want you to know that I'm an old school fan. I don't know if you can see this clearly.
Love it. I
Uh,
love it. Love
and if
that
I
mug. Got my
and if
Canadian
I
mug as well.
oh, and if I turn this around, it says, "Don't fool them, entertain them."
Correct.
MurraySawchuck.com.
Yeah.
So I have to go see your show, in
Yeah.
its new iteration, and get myself a new mug. This one's a little beat up, and I promise I
Sure.
will do that. I
Sure.
do I do have to ask. Let's go back 10 months. Casinos are shutting down, hotels are shutting down, shows are going dark. You are a Las Vegas magician. What are you thinking at that stage?
It's phenomenal. You know, right now because my show, I've been lucky because my show is open still. So we work Thursday through Sundays, 4 days a week since November, since they did the 50 cap back in the early winter last year. And I'm lucky because I guess I'm one of 4 or 5 shows only open, which is hard to believe. Um, and and I'm seeing all these other shows closing and a lot not coming back and stuff like that. And it's one of those things where you know performing the way we do now is a lot different than obviously a year and a half ago when we could touch people, see people, all that other things. And I think it's definitely a cleaning the house of a lot of different things, of just the way we think of things, how we perceive things, and also as Vegas as a whole of what makes money here and what's going to make money here on the Las Vegas Strip, you know, even with the shows. And I've always said this as an entertainer in this town. People always ask how I've survived so long since 2002 being here. I've always said it's about my overhead. I've always, and this goes for any business, I think, it's all about your overhead. You know, if your overhead's low, you can survive and sustain a lot easier than when you have that high overhead. There's so many companies making $1 million. Say if you're bringing in $1 million a day, but you're spending 1.5 a day, you're losing half a million. So it's not a win. If I just told you I'm making $1 million a day, you said, "Holy smokes, sign me up. That's what I want to do." But people forget the debt ratio is what really counts, not necessarily income ratio. And so that's always been the concern on any show in this town. You know, long as that show's running and the machine's running and there's money coming in to pay back the debt, then it just kind of keeps going. As long as the money's coming and going, you can keep things floating. But if that money flow stops, the debt doesn't because the debt's still there, you know? And that's what happened, I think, has happened to a lot of places in Vegas right now where the money stopped. And of course, that debt still sits there. But as long as you can pay it off every month and the money comes in, you can pretend or at least look extremely successful until that money stops coming in.
And are you still the only magician performing on the strip? Because I remember for a while that yours was the only show where you could watch
Yeah.
illusionists.
Yeah, I am still the only magician on the Las Vegas Strip. There's a few other magicians like downtown and on the side streets and stuff like that, doing the odd show once or twice a week, you know, which is wonderful. But actually on the Strip, which we call the Strip, which I guess is from what Mandalay Bay to Stratosphere, you know, I am, which is pretty hard to believe because this town was inundated with magicians. You'd see 10 to 20 of them in various shows every night on the strip. So, but right now, yeah, I'm the one carrying the torch for the magic world right now, which is kind of cool. It's kind of neat, and we're loving performing. People are coming in a very safe environment. They're 25 feet away from me and 6 feet apart, wearing their masks. But they're really, really happy to be in that room, and they're really good audiences. They're quality people, and they're really happy with what we're putting out, which is nice because you don't know when you're going into this environment. You're just trying to still do what you're used to knowing how to do and do it well, the best that the city will let you do.
And you've mentioned it's important to be relevant. You've done something very unique and interesting in order to maintain relevance. You ventured into a whole new and very vastly different business, but one that's incredibly relevant, especially now with the housing market going so crazy, which is landscaping.
Yeah.
How did that all come about? And tell us about the company and how it's.
Yeah. So me and my fiance Danny, who's actually a showgirl in town as well. She was in Jubilee, and she's also the host of Crazy Girls. And she also works with me over in Fantasy over at Luxor as well. And so we're both pretty active. We love business. She has a degree in marketing as well. So I said to her about 6 months ago, I said, hey, we've landscaped all of our homes. I've helped so many of my friends do it. I love it. Landscaping for me is a hobby. Some people do yoga, some people hike, some people do crafts, work on old cars, whatever they do. I always liked working in the yard, like building fountains and mini golf course pitch and putt things and all this stuff. So somebody said to me, you really should, you have the time now. You should really start a company. And I said, oh man, it's a lot of work. I'm not sure about that. So I did. So I started one last year with Danny, and it's called Dirt to Dreams Landscaping. And I've been doing this for 20 years. But the company's only been around for half a year now. And yeah, we're doing yard renovations and yard cleanups and all sorts of things that people need. And it's one of those things. You're outside in the environment. It's healthy. It's clean. It's COVID friendly. And there's a lot of homes out there that need the help to rebuild their backyards. And also more people are staying home now and working from home, so they're enjoying their home a lot more now too. So we started a company, and we're keeping ourselves busy 4 or 5 days a week with that, and we love it. It's just a nice different hat to put on. It's still creative, like walking on stage being creative. We get to be creative outside, putting in fountains and cool landscapes and features for people and all that stuff. And I've always dealt with people all my life. So it's really a people job as well. You're making, you're asking somebody what they want in their home and yard, and hopefully you're getting it right and creating something that they want. So
Now, have you sort of had to become like Bruce Wayne slash Batman? You've got your day persona and your night persona. Is that how it
yeah,
works?
yeah, exactly. When I do these homes, and I don't tell anybody, of course, who I am or all that, because we have employees and the staff that works with us, and I'm on every site still, because it's very important with a new company that I'm there in every aspect of it, at least for the first few years. And I usually, after a few days into the project or something, or a week later, somebody will text me going, "Wait a minute, are you that guy?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, we own the company. It's ours." I was like, "I figured your voice. Somebody said that you sure sounded like that guy." So, well, I'm that guy. So it's kind of nice to have that, but I never tell anybody because it's a totally different business, and I'm not there as a magician or an entertainer. I'm there as someone that designs landscaping, and it's something I've done for years. So
Well, it's hard to miss you. I mean, you're on billboards all up and down the I-15 on as you head into town. You're also on a video at the airport security line. Uh,
yes, yeah, isn't
so
that crazy? I know. That was such a big honor. I did that years ago. It's supposed to be up there for 10 years. It's cool. It's Wayne Newton and Carrot Top's up there and everybody. And yeah, I got invited to that with the tourism of Vegas to do that. And it was a real honor shooting that because that's a pretty big deal. Because I remember flying into Vegas, seeing that and seeing the Wayne Newtons on there and the Celine Dion's and that. That's pretty cool. Like when you're an entertainer in Vegas, that's a pinnacle as an entertainer in Vegas. That's pretty cool. So it's pretty neat flying out and you do get to see yourself up there on the monitor and you go, wow, it looks familiar. So
Well, I think one of the really cool and unique things about Vegas, one of the things I love about it is I lived in New York, for example, and I never ran into anybody. It's just people. It's a rat race. People just getting in and out of the subway. London, you don't see anybody. Here in Vegas, we're such a village. You can run into Carrot Top or
yeah.
other celebrities that work on the strip all the time, and it's no big deal. It's hi, how you doing? We're
Yeah.
part of one big
You
community.
really do run into people. You do that in Hollywood a little bit as well, not as much, but with Hollywood as well, you kind of run into that a little bit. But Vegas people are a little more approachable, because we really do live here. It really isn't that spread out, you know. And if you're going into Smith's or Albertsons or grocery stores here, you do bump into different people, you know. And people come up to me and talk to me. I love it. I think it's lovely that, you know, it's a small community here. Like you said, it is a village, you know.
Now, what's the long-term objective for your landscaping business? I mean, how do you see it sort of developing?
Well, like any business, we're collecting new clients, and you know, we're doing a lot of HOAs now and bigger developments in our company. And you know, maybe in 20 or 30 years, I'll sell the company off or give it to, you know, when me and Danny have kids, give it to our kids or something. I like the fact that with the Dirt to Dreams, it's a completely different branch of our portfolio. You know, we have a lot of things. We have rental properties, and we're both entertainers. And Danny's a professional masseuse, so she has her clients there. And of course, now we have this company. And I like having a wide portfolio of different things because in life to survive, I believe when one thing's doing well, something might not be doing as well. And when one thing's going up, another thing's going down. You know, I think it's the same with when you invest your money. You know, don't always put your eggs in one basket. If you want to invest in something, maybe invest in Walmart and then invest in a tech company and then maybe invest in whatever else. But if you have your money in different areas, if one goes up, then maybe the other one will go up. But if it doesn't, at least you still have something going. Where if you put all your eggs, as they say, in one basket, which is a typical thing, but all your money in one area, and if the damn thing goes down, then you're in trouble. You know, so I think it's important to have that balance. So we're enjoying keeping going. We're not trying to grow it super fast because we're very hands on with everything. You know what I mean? And we'll grow as quickly as the need arises. You know, but we're loving it. We're having a great time with it.
Now, you've got a huge social media presence. In fact, I was at your home interviewing you. You showed me your plaque. I believe it's a platinum plaque from YouTube for hitting, is it 1 million viewers?
Yeah, we have two plaques. We have one for 100,000, and the next goal was 1 million. That's the gold plaque. Silver one is 100,000, and the 1 million is the gold. And then the 10 million is I believe it's a crystal or it's a diamond. I think it's a diamond plaque. So
Are you using the same platforms to be able to promote your landscaping business?
we are indirectly, you know, the YouTube for us has always been good for us, and we're still putting videos up there. We're not putting videos up weekly up there. We're doing it every once or twice a month now, depending on the algorithms. You know, we're switching a lot of our platforms over to Facebook and TikTok. You know, TikTok's become a very popular platform, so we're branching out into that. This year, I think we're going to concentrate more on Facebook, some of our Facebook, similar types of videos that I've been doing on my YouTube, but we're scripting more for Facebook. So we're looking forward to that this year. A bunch more this last week. So the thing is, with technology and something new, you always have to keep your eye on the prize because it does change. What's needed, what's wanted, what's getting attention. You know, my biggest thing that got my most attention online was me doing all the cop and police pranks and parking pranks. We did 5 years of those. And like any sitcom or anything, after you've done a lot of years, people get used to it and kind of runs its course at times, you know. So our videos are always going to be out there, and we license them for many different things. But now we're starting to change our focus a little more on what the Facebook world is looking for, and we're going to start building that platform up a little more as well, you know, because you kind of can't do everything at once, you know.
Right. Are you noticing that social media is changing? And I ask that because as a business person myself, I used to try and get attendees to my conferences that I used to hold through social media. LinkedIn was particularly big business conferences, but I've noticed now there seems to be a bit of a change, and I don't know if it's if people just got kind of fed up with, you know, you're stuck at home, COVID, you're social media'd out. Have you noticed that sort of the attention span of people on social media and the ability to attract new viewers and new clients is a bit more challenging?
Yeah, 100%. What's interesting with YouTube or with any social media thing, I've found that when people were at work working, they watch social media more than when they were at home. When they're at home, I don't know what they're doing. They're either playing Xbox, Nintendo, maybe they're outside gardening or fixing a car or maybe hanging with a family. But I do find when people are at work, you know, a lot of people don't want to be at work. And so they're killing time. And I think they're on their phones looking at weird videos and interesting things. But when they're not, they're at home, not always looking at the YouTube. We thought we'd get more of a hit when they were actually at home because there's tons of times to be at home doing stuff. But it wasn't the case. We actually find when you're working and when you're working, you know, 8 hours a day, people are using their social media more than when they're at home. So that is a big difference actually, you know, and I think it's gone down. Plus, there's more people looking at everything around because they're at home, so it's not going to be focused into one or two groups always anymore. You know, because people are there's just more people and more stuff and more content, so it goes down the viewership because it's spread out more. You know.
How do you think businesses will need to pivot in light of this? And by the way, we're seeing new social media platforms get introduced. I mean, I've heard of stuff like I think Gab is one of them. How do you think businesses will need to pivot in order to be able to continue to get that attention from viewers?
I think they're going to have to be a little more specific on what their clients or their guests or whomever they're trying to pitch really want and really hone in on them, and that's what they want, either by specific ads that you can do, you know, that is a little more scripted, you know, or or really kind of hone in on that direct marketing and get that list of what these people really want, not just assume if we send it out this way, this big fan of reach is going to collect a lot of people. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be have to be a little more honed in. You know, like back in the old days with TV, when there's only 13 channels on TV in the 80s, you know, everyone was a star, because, like Bob Hope and Lucille Ball and everybody, and they were all big stars because that's all you had to watch. There wasn't a lot of competition. So when somebody was on TV, they were a star. Now, you could be standing beside the number one NASCAR race driver and the number one tech guy in a room. But if you haven't watched Discovery Channel or you haven't watched ESPN, you would never know these two people were at the top of their game because there's, you know, 1,000 channels out there. Whereas back in the day, you kind of were forced to know these were stars. You know, I don't think I Love Lucy would necessarily be as big a star in this era right now if she had her show come out with the same interest as back in the day, because you know, if people didn't watch that comedy channel or that thing, she wouldn't probably be as well known, you know, whereas back in the day you didn't have a choice, and it worked, you know. So
Now, let's go back to your entertainment business. What is the, you know, entertainment is the core of our industry in Las Vegas. Without it, it's just not Las Vegas. What do you foresee for the future of entertainment here in Las Vegas, and what do you foresee for your career as we get through the pandemic and
you know, I think we're going back to the 1960s in Las Vegas for entertainment, and I kind of like that. And what I mean by that is, I mean, some people don't realize when Frank Sinatra played here in the Rat Pack, Sammy Davis and all that, they were playing in a show. There was only about 550 seats. That was the large showroom, the Sands or the Dunes and all those places, or the Sahara, or even the Riviera, you know, for that matter. But they were smaller groups, and they were intimate, and a lot of those were the hotel paid for, and you got a comp ticket or a free ticket because the hotel really liked your business. They wanted you there, and they wanted to treat you because they wanted you to keep gambling and stay in their property, and they really just wanted you to have this wonderful experience, spend your money, and go home with this great. Even if you lost your money, at least you got to see a show and have a cheap shrimp cocktail and some free drinks on the house or whatever. You know, it was really that immersive experience. And I think with Vegas, we've right now, I think in the last 10 years, tried to take advantage of the customers so much in every aspect. Meaning, if you book a $39 room, your resort fee is like $29. How is your resort fee, which is this random fee for being at the resort? Well, the reason I'm staying at the resort is because you have the wave pool, or you have that swim up bar, or you have something nice amenities. That's why I'm staying here. So just include that in the price of the hotel. That's why I'm not staying down at a crappy hotel off the street, you know? So this resort fee is just this extra added thing. It's kind of like when you buy a house, you know, and they've got all these filing fees. Well, literally a $20 filing fee for someone to turn around, stick in a filing cabinet. But you know, I know we all got to make money and we all do our things, you know. But I think Vegas was taking advantage of the customer a lot in all aspects. And of course, the last thing that really did it was, you know, paying for parking. I'm thinking we're trying to get people to come to the casino, not go away. So there wasn't one little thing we let go of to try to not make money off somebody. And all of a sudden now, look at where we are now. And this last year, you know, casinos are trying to keep the doors open now, and we're begging people to come back. So I really do think Vegas is going to go back to the 1960s in a way where I think the lounge bands are going to be really good, and some of the lounge singers are going to be previous headliners, just because we want great bands for people to stay in our casinos and have that experience and that immersive experience. You know, I think casinos are going to want shows to be in them, not just rent their room out. Whoever will spend money for rent, and as long as they can last, then they leave. because we were always we turned into a pay to play city almost for a lot of entertainers. And in the 1960s wasn't like that. So I feel like it's going to come back to more of the boutique hotels. Also, hotels not being a monopoly as much. I think we're going to go back to more hotels with individual owners, like what Derek Stevens is doing downtown with Circa and the D and Jonathan over down the Plaza, and the Four Queens and all those individual hotels down there. There's a sense of pride of ownership of each of those hotels and a camaraderie, with all the owners, and it's interesting how that's coming around. But I think that's where it's going to hit a little bit more, you know what I mean, and more boutique and more. I think the big Cirque, 2,500 seat theater things, I think are going to be a little bit of thing of the past. You're still going to have your George Straits, your Lady Gagas, your Bruno Mars and all that, Madonnas and all that, and all that, which is wonderful. But I think there's going to be a lot more cabarets in this town and more intimate venues.
Murray Sawchuck, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy, and I'm just very grateful I decided to have chat with us today.
Great. Thanks so much, Dave, for having me on. You're always a guest on my show anytime. So thanks again, man, and wish you the best for 2021.
Apologies for some of the technical difficulties in this video, but that's our work from home environment that we live in. I hope you get a chance to check out the links that I put in the description to this video. It'll take you to Murray Sawchuck's new landscaping business, as well as to a schedule for his show. And don't forget to click on the link to our sponsor, the Junkie Group, brokered by eXp Realty. Give us a like and please subscribe.